Tyler Lee, red and black, home of the state championship plaque. But in 05 will still be holding, so I know which had to bring it back. Something about Tyler, cause them boys straight jack. Division 1-5A wasn't ready for the 04 sack attack. Boy, you should've stopped when they told you turn your head and call, but instead you played us and took a loss. I tried to tell them we were the Lone Star boss. I mean, why else would they take a delay a game on a coin toss? So quit delaying the game, boy, we've had enough. Matter of fact, either make the call or just hang up, cause you just ain't tough enough. Go ahead and call a bluff and see if we can't beat you in blindfolds and handcuffs. Why you standing there looking amazed with no clue? Y'all need to find another sport our drill team can take you. I guess that's just how the Red Raiders will do. Y'all can have your whole school on the field and we'll still run through. You better play ace of base and see the sign. You're running for your life if you ever get caught behind enemy lines. Might as well take a knee and start praying. That's why all year the Red Raiders been saying, how you feeling, Red? You know. Texas State champ, oh show. Stop Tyler Lee, oh no. If you wanna come get it, let's go. How you feeling, Red? You know. Texas State champ, oh show. Stop Tyler Lee, oh no. If you wanna come get it, let's go. If you ain't winning, go ahead and close your lips. Got a whole team of captains, we just took over the ship. They falling down and blaming it on the slip, cause they know we deal our most shots in a 6-foot clip. Yup, better watch those running backs, they love to climb. The only thing our receivers dropping, other teams morale. Try to cross that O-line and get put in the grind, and we'll dual option QBs, what you gon' do now? Meet the linebackers, D-line if you want some. Try to hit for the end zone if you want your body numbed. It's like meeting where we am coming across the middle, son. Cause our corners and safety make sure your career is done. Check out our pep rallies, boy, I mean man. With 3 times as many fans and one hell rocking band. Cheerleaders on handstands, come group of these gentlemen. And I promise, we got the best moms in the land. Come take a seat in the stands and watch us wreck. Taking our teams from here to Waco, back up to the Metroplex. Spring West of the flex and got put to rest. By the time we left the Alamo Dome, it was who's next. How you feeling, Red? You know. Texas State champ, oh show. Stop Tyler Lee, oh no. If you wanna come get it, let's go. How you feeling, Red? You know. Texas State champ, oh show. Stop Tyler Lee, oh no. If you wanna come get it, let's go.
What is up? It is week number 2. It's time to talk fantasy football with Fantasy Jarvis. Are you guys ready? I'm rolling solo, so it's going to be different because Nolan's not here for me to poke at and disagree with and all that good jazz. I'm trying to figure out where my camera is on here. It's on that side. But, yeah, so looking forward to talking about week 1 recap, talking about news and notes, injuries. I'm going to cover that for Nolan. He usually does that, so I'm probably going to miss some or, that whole deal. But also the shit show. Love the shit show. And then we're just going to talk matchups. So it's going to be short and sweet. It's going to be just all the good info. It is Fantasy Jarvis, like I said. Follow me on Twitter at Fantasy Jarvis or at Fantasy_Jarvis. So here we go. Yeah. The nerds are here for some reason. Usually they're not here, but yeah, it's because I'm going solo. So the biggest news right now is Josh Gordon. Apparently he's getting released on Monday, so that's a big deal. There's a lot of speculation going around about this. The GM just said that they've done basically all that they could, and it's just time to say goodbye. But I think there's a lot more to the story than just that. So let me get this shared up to the main page real quick. Bear with me. Oh yeah. So yeah. Here we go. Almost there. Real close. Usually I can do this while Nolan's talking and you have to listen to him. But alright, here we go. Alright, back to it. Let's talk about Josh Gordon. According to some in the organization that reported to Cleveland.com, Gordon showed up late to the facility on today, Saturday, and he had left yesterday perfectly fine, no injury, no nothing. Shows up with an injury this morning, hamstring. First of all, they're probably wondering how that happened. Second of all, claim that he just was not himself, which is a red flag. especially for someone who has substance abuse problems. So they were definitely throwing the red flag there. Yeah, so there's probably a ton more to this. It's going to unfold rapidly. It's going to be the number one thing in the Twitter feed for a little while for the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, Cowboys love sad stories like this. So, you know, the fixer-uppers and all that kind of stuff. We've had our fair share of problem players. So, yeah, come on our way. We definitely need it. We definitely need it. Yeah. All right, let's talk about recapping week one real quick. So I'm not going to go into all the teams. I'm just going to go into some of them and or some of the games, because there were a few that were just crazy. Like Tampa Bay at New Orleans. I mean, if you played Survivor and you didn't pick New Orleans last week, I mean, there's a bunch of people that picked Baltimore. Yeah, that was a great pick. Minnesota, there was a few good ones. But a lot of people picked New Orleans because there was no way that they were coming in New Orleans' house to the Dome and getting beat by Ryan Fitzmagic. I mean, just no way. There's no way. Well, there is a way. And it was just awful. I mean, I was hanging on by the edge of my seat, just like, is this going to really happen? Am I going to get knocked out week one of Survivor by Tampa Bay and Fitzmagic and his crazy beard? Yeah, it happened. So, yeah, he lit that defense up. They weren't great. Obviously, they weren't great. It looked like the New Orleans D of a few years ago. So, Mike Evans looked really good. Kamara, obviously. But Kamara only had 8 actual carries. He was just big in the passing game, which Drew Brees found him automatically. Drew Brees found Michael Thomas. That's going to be the stack of the year, I feel like. It's going to be huge. I'm so fortunate to have each of those players in at least one league. So they're going to do good for you this year. Brees is back to Brees. So that's big. And we called that. I mean, that was one of our deals. You know, I was so high on Brees. I think I had him in 3 leagues. I just felt like the D wasn't going to be what they were. Obviously, they're not. So, yeah, he's going to be Brees again. Pittsburgh and Cleveland. So I had money on this one. Had money on Cleveland just to win, straight bet. And I thought that it was going to happen. Then the flag at the end of the game pushed them back. They couldn't make the field goal. Overtimes, everybody saw it. It was just a nightmare for weather and all that. But, I mean, Pittsburgh looked bad. Cleveland looked kind of good. I mean, it was a good game. It was a crazy game, back and forth. I didn't know what was going to happen at the end for sure. Chicago at Green Bay, another one I had money on. And at halftime, I was just like, oh my God, I'm about to pull this off. Chicago's about to upset Green Bay. Rivalry game at Green Bay. It's about to go off. I'm about to get paid. I'm just sitting there laughing my ass off like, oh my God, here we go. Just waiting to check my account, you know. And, oh, no. Aaron Rodgers comes out with the eye of the tiger after getting a knee injury in the first half. Card it off. And you're just like, well, if you had Aaron Rodgers, you were crapping your pants. You're just like, my season's over, because you probably spent a high pick or a lot of auction dollars on his ass. You're just like, all right, well, that's it. You know, the only couple of times I've ever owned him, he's gotten hurt. So this year is one of them in one league. And it's actually in the Fantasy J.A.R.V.I.S league, obviously. You know, of course they can't catch a break in there. But, yeah, he comes back, lights him up. You know, one of the things that I really noticed the most in that game was Khalil Mack, obviously, was a freaking animal. I went and picked up that defense in a lot of places because of that. I mean, I think that Chicago looked really good on defense, really good. And they've got some good matchups coming up. I mean, they're playing Seattle this weekend, and Seattle is going to be kind of a disaster for a little while, I think. Not that Baldwin is just the end-all, say-all for that team, but what else do they have? They have Tyler Lockett. I mean, it's just, you know, it's the Will Dissly comes out of nowhere. You know, it's going to be a struggle. They can't run the ball still. The line is bad. But anyway, I think Chicago is going to take that one. Washington and Arizona. My gosh, that was hard to watch. Sammy B, man, they were getting booed. That was rough. David Johnson was still able to do work, which was great. Chris Thompson obviously had no limitations. He was fine. There's nothing with his injury bothering him, which is great to know, because coming into that game, we were leery. We were very reserved on telling people to start Chris Thompson, and people were nervous about doing it. So, I mean, there's a reason that we got a lot of Chris Thompson questions, because, that's one of those things. I mean, you kind of want to see it to believe it. Adrian Peterson, all day. I mean, he just lit them up. He lit them up. I mean, I wasn't necessarily a naysayer, but I was just like, man, I was not in on it. And so the people that got him late in the drafts here, right before the season start, cheap running back. We'll see how long he lasts. If they're going to give him that many carries every game, he's going to get some wear and tear pretty quick. Okay, New York Jets at Detroit. I mean, it was awful. Awful. I didn't have Matt Stafford anywhere, but I did have Marvin Jones in a lot of places. I did have Golden Tate in a couple places. I mean, I was just like, come on, guys. They go into Stafford gets hurt, comes back out, gets hurt, comes back out. Then they go in at halftime, and I feel like somebody's going to wring somebody's neck, and they're going to come out just firing. And sure enough, they come out and they march down the field. They score. Golden Tate scores. But after that, they just went back to what they were doing in the first half, and it was just pitiful. It was absolutely pitiful. Sam Darnold comes out. First throw of his NFL career is a pick six, I believe. And he gets it together, reels it in. You can tell the nerves were there, but, I mean, he made it happen. And Detroit's defense just looked like crap. So bad. But yet again, Detroit couldn't run the ball. Big problem. Always going to be a problem. Then Sam Darnold looked very good, I thought, for his first game. So we'll see how it goes. He's got a lot of adversity to face. LA at Oakland, that was a crap show for John Gruden, his first coaching in however many years. And I really thought that it was going to be not a great game, but not that bad. I thought that surely, but nobody got to see it in preseason, so nobody even knew what Derek Carr was doing. So, I mean, I think he took like 3 snaps in preseason. We didn't even know if he was going to be the same as he was a couple of years ago when they couldn't even get a first down. But he wasn't. He was pretty bad. And basically, the game plan was to get it to Jared Cook because of a mismatch, and they executed that completely. They definitely executed that. But Amari Cooper didn't get targeted but like 3 times. I mean, it was pathetic. I mean, I like Amari Cooper. I think that going forward, surely Gruden learned a little bit of a lesson there. But I don't know, man. I really don't. I hope he doesn't let everybody down like he did last year. Dallas at Carolina. Oh, my gosh. Dallas is my team. Yeah, I had to watch that. So it was hard to watch. Our defense did look good, but that was about it. I mean, Zeke got his. Zeke will always get his. I still feel good about Zeke. We had him ranked number 1 overall. I still feel good about that. The passing offense was just embarrassing. But one thing that I took away from the Carolina side is Christian McCaffrey just wasn't great. And I feel like I made a good decision in my claims on Christian McCaffrey's not going to be that great. But we'll see. I think that he'll still he should have a good season, so don't panic. But I'm kind of glad that he's on your team and not mine. Let's see. Let's get into some injuries. This is usually Nolan, like I said, and I mean he probably screws it up all the time. I mean nobody trusts that guy. He's making things up, like canker sore, out for 3 weeks. But here we go. On the quarterback front, obviously Aaron Rodgers, questionable with his knee. He did practice today, but I think that you still need to monitor it, still have a backup plan. There's no guarantee that he plays. That's obviously crazy, and it's going to be wild if he doesn't play. It's going to downgrade everybody for Green Bay if he doesn't play, obviously. Then we got Big Ben, elbow. He's questionable, but he is expected to go. No worries there. Marcus Mariota, elbow. He's questionable, but I think he's going to play. But the Tennessee coach said we could see both Mariota and Blaine Gabbert, which makes me want to vomit all over this table because that sounds atrocious. You can't trust that. You can't trust it. On the running back front, last night, Thursday night, Joe Mixon with the knee. He had microscopic surgery today, and the timetable is 2 to 4 weeks. So that's not good, but fire up Giovanni Bernard. Devonta Freeman, knee injury, out. There's nothing structural. I don't have a timetable, but Tevin Coleman's gonna go this week. I don't love the matchup. It's against Carolina, so I don't love that. But yeah, if you need somebody, Tevin Coleman definitely. Fournette, big one. He's a game time decision, but I've read a lot of stuff today that's saying that it ain't going to happen. So, and I've also seen that they promoted a running back from the practice squad. That's not a good sign ever. And he didn't practice all week. So if he does play, I feel like I would still use somebody else because I feel like he could get out there, run 2 series, aggravate it, and be done for the game and screw you. So if I was the coach, I would rest him and try to get him back on track. That's just me. Rex Burkhead, concussion. He practiced Thursday and Friday. I think he'll probably play. If not, then we could see our first appearance of Sony Michel. And that's only if Rex doesn't go at all. It's not a fantasy option. Don't get crazy. Darren Sproles with hamstring out. Makes it very interesting for J.A.R.V.I.S. Marlon Mack is supposed to be he returned to practice in full on Friday. I think that he's probably going to give it a go. He'll have his debut for the year. On the wide receivers, DeAndre Hopkins with the foot. He's questionable, but he's expected to play. Josh Gordon is out. Doug Baldwin out. Alshon Jeffrey out. Will Fuller has a hamstring injury, but he's expected to play. So both the receivers there, that'll be fun to watch with Deshaun Watson, I think, this week. Marquise Goodwin out with a quad on the tight end front. 2 big ones, 2 older guys. Greg Olsen out with the foot, fractured foot, and then Delaney Walker, ankle, IR. So no more Delaney. All right, let me talk about my shit show. My shit show, in case you don't know, is what I think the biggest shit show of last week was. And the biggest shit show of last week, in my opinion, was Detroit, because it was that bad. I cannot get past it. It's so bad. I actually have 3 shit shows. So the second is Derek Carr. That was a shit show. Very bad. It was hard to watch that game, too. Then the third, I mean, both those Monday night games. Monday was atrocious. The third is Dak Prescott. I mean, it's going to be rough, boys and girls, for Dallas fans. All right, let's get right into it. All right, got all that out of the way. Now let's talk about this week, because that's what's important. This week, getting out there and winning, crushing. Let's see. The first matchup I got here is Kansas City at Pittsburgh. Now, Pat Mahomes looked like a wild animal out there, throwing bombs on the field. It looked like he had a magnet on Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill played awesome. I mean, that dude is so fast. He looks so little, but he's so fast. It couldn't be stopped. I think Pittsburgh is vulnerable against the pass, too. Look for Hill to have another good week. Travis Kelce let a lot of people down last week. A lot of people bummed out about that. I have him in one. I'm definitely included in that. I'm hoping that he's going to have a bounce back this week. But I was joking with a friend and talking about how Travis Kelce just might not run out far enough for Pat Mahomes' cannon. He might just fear death, being too close. So Pat doesn't want to kill him with the cannon. But yeah, that's basically what that is. Kareem Hunt, not involved in the pass game. I didn't like it. Andy Reid cannot get out of his way. Andy Reid cannot get out of his way. It drives me crazy. But I think that he should have a better week this week. I mean, you saw Carlos Hyde run really well against Pittsburgh, so I think that this week's going to be a lot better for Kareem Hunt. Big Ben's been battling the injury, but even if he's 80%, 70%, I mean, KC Pasty looked atrocious. So whoever's throwing against them, I mean, really, we want Big Ben to be the guy, but they're going to get lit up. So looks very good for AB, Juju. Throw Juju in your lineup for sure this week. James Conner will also have a great week. Man, he lit it up last week. He was truthing it. Yeah, it was crazy. It was a good week for him. I actually have him number 3 in my running back rankings this week, if that says anything. Let's see here. Miami at New York Jets. Tannehill actually got the job done last week. It wasn't pretty. It never is with Tannehill, but and it looks like the best receiver for Miami is Kenny Stills. So if you've got him, you're happy. Not a very favorable matchup for one Kenyon Drake this week, though. So scale back expectations. I mean, you probably got to roll them out, but scale back your expectations. I see a question from Mike Miller about David Johnson or Jordan Howard this week. It's got to be DJ, man. It's got to be DJ. You got to always roll DJ out there. I mean, he's a beast, and he is 100%. There was, I guess, he had like a back issue earlier in the week or something like that. He's good to go. You can't lose your game on Jordan Howard playing over DJ. I mean, you'd be kicking yourself. I mean, if it's the other way around, then you got to live with it. You just can't do that kind of stuff in fantasy. Sam Darnold had a great connection with Quincy Enunwa. We love Quincy Enunwa all offseason. He's facing a little bit tougher matchup this week, but we know defenses just like us know that he's Darnold's guy at this point, so they're probably going to be game planning for that. Powell and Crowell are in great spots this week. I like them both. Cleveland at New Orleans. If New Orleans defense looks as bad as it did last week, then things are going to be very good for Jarvis Landry. There wasn't much running by Tampa Bay. It was just like that was just how the game went. I mean, it was just a bunch of passing, and it's just how I don't think that really New Orleans had a great run defense. There just wasn't much running. Peyton Barber got just very little work. I do like Carlos Hyde this week, so. Tampa Bay didn't go to the tight end much, but I think it's an interesting matchup for David Njoku without Josh Gordon. They're going to have to look to somebody else. I know that Josh Gordon didn't play all that much in that game, but and Rashard Higgins could be something sneaky in DFS. Of course, on the New Orleans side, Kamara, Michael Thomas, looks like they're going to have another big week. Drew Brees. Ted Ginn, if he's not limited, I like him. It's going to be a probably good scoring game there. Cleveland gets to show us what they've got, because if that defense is playing that bad, then there's nothing stopping them. Philadelphia at Tampa Bay. Part of me feels like Ryan Fitzmagic had an out-of-body experience against New Orleans last week. And now that he's facing a tougher defense, he'll be humbled and back to panic throw and back to the old Ryan Fitzmagic that we know. But it's not going to be as easy for Tampa Bay against Philly D. Philly D is stout. I'm not high on Peyton Barber this week, though he will get volume if you do need him. Mike Evans is a must start. So regardless, you got to start Mike Evans. He looks good. I think O.J. Howard could be kind of interesting this week. I think that he's going to be the tight end over Bray. I really do. If Deshaun Jackson had a concussion, when I wrote this up, the news had passed that he's good to go. So. But if for any reason there's a setback, then Chris Godwin, who I love and I've I've loved for a couple of years now. I think he's going to be somebody for Tampa Bay or for somebody else. I think he's got a big future, so he would step right in if there was any limitations for Jackson. On the Philly side, I think Nick Foles is so bad. He's such a sack of garbage. I mean, he's just as squirrely as squirrel to play like he did in the Super Bowl. I mean, in the playoffs, it's just the squirreliest of squirrel. It was a #1 selling jersey for a little while. What the hell? Come on, man, he's bad. There's a reason that he's couldn't get past backup quarterback. I mean, but for 1 year, it's just crazy. But regardless, I think Nelson Aguilar has one of the best matchups of the week against MJ Stewart. So I think he's going to get peppered with targets. I really do. I like Nelson Aguilar this week. Darren Sproles, like I said earlier, is out. That's huge for J.A.R.V.I.S. I mean, that makes me love J.A.R.V.I.S this week. We're probably going to get to see a lot of Clement this week, which I want to see. Zach Ertz is probably going to have a better game this week. I think definitely going to have a better game this week. Dallas Goedert, whatever. He had a target in the end zone last week. I think they're going to get this guy involved eventually. He was by far my favorite rookie to watch in the preseason, by far. In a super deep GPP, super deep. In a GPP, if you're trying to risk it and save some cash wallet, Mike Wallace could be interesting. I'm telling you. This is a horrible pass defense. Drew Brees tore them apart. And no, Nick Foles is not Drew Brees by any means. But, it's a good spot for him. So, I could probably complete a pass against Tampa Bay. Indiana at Washington. My boy Luck looked good last week. He didn't throw downfield that often, which, T.Y. will have huge games when he starts to get that confidence in that downfield throw. And I think that it's just going to progress from here, obviously. Hilton is an every week guy regardless. I like Jack Doyle and Eric Ebron as well. Marlon Mack is expected to be back, like I said earlier. That downgrades Jordan Wilkins. It's also, Naheem Heights. It's going to be a cluster now, definitely. It's going to be a total cluster. Josh Gordon's been hanging out with Nolan is the problem, by the way. Nolan. No, I don't know why he's an idiot. It's crazy. He can't get out of his own way. I feel for the guy for sure. On the Washington side, great matchups all around. Everybody's going to go nuts. I love Chris Thompson this week. I even love Adrian Peterson, but I love Chris Thompson more. Peterson having as many carries as he did last week kind of worries me a little bit about this week because, you keep doing that to an older guy. I don't know. You put Glenn Graves out there and he's going to be hurt instantly. That dude gets hurt just like, he's a China doll. Glenn Graves is my work buddy, by the way. This will be the week for Josh Dawson, I think. We've been waiting to see it. Let's see it. I think that last week he had a PP problem. He had Patrick Peterson just hold him down. When you got Patrick Peterson on you, you don't do nothing. That's just how that goes. Quarterbacks aren't going to throw that direction. They're not going to risk that. I don't think he'll have any problems against Indy. This will be a great week for Jordan Reed as well. Like I said, I like everybody. I love Crowder this week. With all these receivers that you have to love, then you have to love Alex Smith too. I told everybody, Glenn, that people get injured. Somebody got injured, I'm talking about Adrian Peterson getting out there being old. That's what I'm talking about, Glenn, and how you get hurt all the time. And so, you put old people out there, they get hurt. So he didn't need as many carries. Let's see. Houston at Tennessee. Tennessee defense is pretty good, but I think Deshaun Watson bounces back this week after obviously a really rough start. We didn't talk about that, but he had a rough start, but I think that he's good. I think that he's going to surprise some people that are some naysayers. Everybody gets a little jittery week one. I don't know how many reps the guy took in preseason. That's the first game for him, I do believe. But Hopkins dealing with the foot injury, but he's good to go, so that's going to be good. And Will Fuller being out there is going to be good. Lamar Miller will get volume, which is good, but Tennessee run D is pretty nasty. So if you've got to roll him out, roll him out. Really, if you've got Lamar Miller, that's going to be one of your only options there. So you just roll him out, you're fine. For Tennessee, Coach Vrabel, I think that's how you say it, stated that there could be a mix of Mariota and Blaine Gabbert. I mentioned it earlier. That is just, what is that? Who said, what? It's like pick one or the other. I'm staying the hell away from everybody. Maybe Deion Lewis. Maybe. But, I'm not feeling it at all. I don't even like Corey Davis this week. I don't like it. Bad vibes. Very bad vibes. If I had to own a running back for them, I would rather have Deion Lewis at this point, because I just think Derrick Henry is the same Derrick Henry he's been. He's just the same guy. He hasn't shown me anything just spectacular. So I feel like the offense runs better with Deion Lewis, but that's just me. Minnesota at Green Bay. If Rodgers doesn't play, then obviously you're staying away from all Green Bay players. You probably have to roll Devontae Adams out there just because. But, man, you are going to be laughing your ass to the bank if you've got Minnesota and Rodgers doesn't start, because it's going to be Cody Kaiser or Deshaun Kaiser or whatever that guy's name is. I was thinking Cody Kessler. It's one of those guys, but it's not going to be good. It's one of those ex-Cleveland guys. It's not going to be good. Fading Jamal Williams everywhere I can. It's a horrible matchup. Jimmy Graham, just like, I don't know, I tried to tell everybody, dude, people were picking this dude at like 60 overall. What are you doing? Like I said, he had a big catch in the preseason. A big catch. I don't know. I just don't think that Green Bay's ever going to run through the tight end. And obviously in that last game, it kind of stated that. On the Minnesota side, all systems go. Dalvin Cook, he didn't get much last week, but I think that he still looked really good. I wouldn't worry about it. I think that he's going to be great. It's a good matchup for him too. Fire up Diggs, Thielen, Kirk Cousins. It's all systems go there. Carolina at Atlanta. Atlanta took some huge hits on defense. Deion Jones, Keanu Neal. That is so massive. Those are arguably their second and third best players on the entire team behind Julio Jones. So that is devastating for their defense. Cam should have a decent game given that those two are out. Devin Funchess, man, I was higher on him, but I didn't get him anywhere, and man, he disappointed everybody last week. But what's going to happen with Greg Olsen out? Is it going to be different? Maybe. I don't know. Maybe DJ Moore gets involved. I don't know there either, but as of right now, he's nothing more than a dynasty focus for me. I don't have much. We got to kind of see it play out. Who's going to fill the void for Greg Olsen? I do like Christian McCaffrey against this defense. So it could be a lot better showing for Christian McCaffrey this week. For Atlanta, Devonta Freeman out, so Coleman's going to get the carries. Not a great matchup, though, like I said. But Carolina also has some injuries on the defensive side, so it could be all right. Their pass D is not great. So Julio could, if Matt Ryan gets his act together, Julio could have, Julio still had a good week last week, so, he can have another good week. Matt Ryan, I feel like he can only go up from here. It was pretty pathetic last week. He was very close to being on my shit show. Then there's, I would really like to see some other receivers get involved, though. I had high hopes for Austin Hooper He was targeted like maybe twice in that game. I mean, what is the deal? And Calvin Ridley, I was just like curious as if I was looking for his number to see if he was even on the field. And then, and Mohamed Sanu didn't even get targets hardly. So it's just, we get it. We're trying to make it better. They're trying to get it to Julio Jones, but they're forcing it and all that good stuff, that's great, but that's not how your offense should work. You should use Julio to your advantage. Yeah, hit him with targets, but then turn around and hit other players that are open because everybody's doubling Julio. The LA Chargers at Buffalo. Buffalo would be my fourth shit show for sure. They should have been number one, but they are so bad, and they're not going to get better. It's bad. This will be the Melvin Gordon show. I think Phillip Rivers and Keenan Allen will get theirs, and then it'll be lots of running. So Melvin Gordon's just got it teed up. I'm not starting anyone for Buffalo. Anyone. We'll get to see Josh Allen and really get a good feel for him in a real game. So that's good. But nobody for Buffalo. I'm so glad I don't have Shady. Arizona at the LA Rams. Just a hunch, but I can almost bet you that Arizona will be my shit show for next week. Just a hunch. David Johnson and Larry Fitz are the only two players that I would play. You guys start them every week. Sam Bradford looked horrid. Dude, he couldn't find anybody. It was atrocious. The fans were booing him off the field. So, that was bad. For LA, I don't know that Patrick Peterson will shadow anybody, but I would think that he would probably cover Brandon Cooks for the most part. So you got to downgrade him a little bit, and that bodes well for Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. So look for them to have a better game because Patrick Peterson is locking down the Brandon Cooks. Arizona got annihilated by All Day and Chris Thompson last week. So Gurley is going to feast. He is going to absolutely feast. It's going to be unbelievable. We may even see John Kelly towards the end of the game because they're going to just blow him out, I feel like. Jared Goff is going to have a good game, but they may even pull him in the fourth. I wouldn't be surprised. So, but you still got to run them out there. They're going to get plenty of points because it's just going to be a score fest. Detroit at San Francisco. I hope Detroit can bounce back from last week, but I'm not holding my breath. The matchup is good for Tate, Jones, Galladay, and Matthew Stafford can return to form, which we'll see. Detroit showed us that they're still not capable to run the ball last week, which is, I don't know why I kind of expected them to run better. What is it? LeGarrette Blount? he wasn't great last year. It's like Kerryon Johnson. He got it some opportunities, didn't do nothing. You just can't fix something that is that freaking broke. It's so bad over there. How does that team survive for so long? Since Barry Sanders not being able to run the ball, how do you survive in the NFL? I don't know. I'm staying away from any kind of running back on that team for now. San Francisco is coming off a brutal matchup from Minnesota, so I think Jimmy G will be the Jimmy G that we were crazy about all offseason this week. With Marquise Goodwin out, I think that we should expect more from Pierre Garçon and rookie Dante Pettis, who I really like. If you got him in Dynasty, that was a great call there. He looked really good in the preseason too. George Kittle should also get involved. He's one of my favorite tight ends for DFS this week, so look at that guy because tight end is such a shit show all the time. So when you find somebody good, you got to roll with them. For the running game, I think that this is just speculation. I think that Breida is probably going to get more carries than Alf Morris. It's just speculation, and I think that Alf will be the goal line guy. But, I think it'll be interesting to see since this is a game where they'll probably be able to run, who will be the better runner? Because last week you can't run against Minnesota. You can't hardly do anything against Minnesota. Oakland at Denver. John Gruden last week said that Jared Cook was part of the plan. That limited targets for Amari Cooper. I'm praying this week he gets more involved. Let's hope. It's still a bad matchup for him. So you have to temper expectations there. Proceed with caution with Amari Cooper. I mean, it's tough to bench the guy because everybody believes that he's a good receiver. I mean, that's the deal. I mean, that's why he's still getting drafted where he's getting drafted every year. Denver is not quite as good against the tight end, so if you need Jared Cook this week, definitely you can roll him. Marshawn Lynch was dealing with a shoulder injury earlier this week, but he's good to go. He wasn't on the injury report today, but not a great matchup for him either. So, man, it's going to be tough for Oakland this week. I think Derek Carr is going to he's going to have another rough week. It's going to be bad. It's not going to be good for team morale. I promise you that. There's going to be some mopey faces in the locker room after that game. Fading Oakland players where I can altogether. On the Denver side, things look great, though. It's going to be champagne and whiskey after the game. Expect another big week from Manny Sanders. My gosh, he went nuts last week. We were all over him. And Demaryius Thomas is going to do well this week. And Cortland Sutton might even get in there and get some more plays this week. Phillip Lindsay, out of nowhere, this guy. I mean, he had some good preseason games, but not like what he did last week. So that's going to be crazy. I mean, it just basically checks Devonta Booker off the list for me. So it's Lindsay and Freeman. Royce Freeman's going to be the guy, but I think that Lindsay is going to have a role for sure. You can't just not give that guy a role after what he did last week. So let's see. And Royce Freeman got the same number of carries. You know, it's just how the game kind of went. But this week they should have plenty of opportunity. It's a great matchup. Case Keenum played excellent last week. He's going to have another good one. So if you need him, if you're fortunate enough to have backed Aaron Rodgers up with Case Keenum, then you're looking good. So that's good for you. New England at Jacksonville, tough matchup for New England, obviously. I'm not confident in anyone in the receiving game except Gronk. That's going to be the guy there. You still got to roll Tom Brady out every single week. If you don't, you're a dummy. Why'd you draft him? The run game is about to turn into the typical New England run game shuffle with Rex Burkhead and possibly Sonny Michel and James White. Jeremy Hill is on IR though, so that's one thing. I mean, I'm sure they're pulling somebody else in if they haven't already. But yeah, New England is always a shit show in the backfield trying to guess who it's going to be for the week. The healthiest back over there, though, is James White. And I mean, a little scat back can do some work against Jacksonville. So I wouldn't be afraid of James White this week out of everybody. I would not be afraid to roll him out there. For Jacksonville, Fournette, game time decision, the whole deal, he's probably not going to go. So TJ Yeldon is set to have a good week, and I've got TJ Yeldon in a lot of places. I drafted him, and I'm pretty stoked about that. It should be pretty good. I mean, he's a great player. We loved him the year that he came in. He just didn't get to blossom like we thought, and I don't know what the deal was, but I mean, he grew into the player that we thought he was. I mean, he's like arguably the best backup running back in the league. I think that he's probably even better than Tevin Coleman. I mean, really, if you think about top tier backup running backs, you think Tevin Coleman and you should be thinking TJ Yeldon. That's the deal. The only receiver that I would start for Jacksonville though is probably Keelan Cole. Man, that's kind of a dumpster fire over there with that too. Maybe D.D. Westbrook if I was desperate. They're going to have to throw. I mean, New England's going to get points. As good as that defense is, New England will figure out a way to get points. So they're going to have to throw. They're going to have to run. They're going to have to do anything they can behind Blakey B to get some points on the board. A big one here. New York Football Giants against Dallas this week. Rough matchup last week for New York, but Eli clearly found his weapons. He clearly went to Odell a lot. Found Sterling Shepard a few times. Evan Ingram wasn't very impressive, but I think that this week it'll probably be a lot better. He's set up for a good week. Saquon looked great. I think that he's going to look pretty good. I mean, but Dallas is a good defense, guys. I mean, as bad as our offense is, our defense looks pretty good. I feel very good about the defense. But, I mean, when the other team has the ball all the time, there's not much you can do. For Dallas, I am only going to roll out Zeke. That's it. Nobody else doesn't look good this week. I mean, it doesn't look good for a while, probably, unfortunately. Seattle at Chicago. Seattle defense, as we discussed, is not the Legion of Boom. So Trubisky should have a better week this week. Well, Green Bay isn't great either, but I think that Trubisky is going to just grow game by game. And as soon as he gets confidence, like you could see when they had to have third down conversions against Green Bay, he kind of put them a little hot, a little high, a little. You can see that there were nerves working against him. I think that every game he's going to grow, and he's not going to be as bad as I thought that he was going to be. I could see like an NFL quarterback in him, basically. Before last week, I was like, man, Trubisky, you don't want nothing to do with that. But you can see a little bit of potential. I mean, I don't think that he's ever going to be just great, but he's probably going to be able to get the job done. So I think Trey Burton could have a week this week. I know last week he did nothing, but I think this week he could have a good week. Seattle can get burned by tight ends. I'm not sure that I trust Allen Robinson yet, but as Trubisky gets better, he's clearly the receiver to have. And last week, man, it looked like in the first quarter, it's like Allen Robinson. You're just like, man, that was the best call I've ever made to get that guy. But no, he disappeared for like 3.5 quarters after that. So that's crappy. But Jordan Howard was involved in the passing game last week, which I love, and this week I really love him. Seattle cannot stop the run. Did you see what Philip Lindsay did to him? Royce Freeman still got 70-something yards against him. So, I mean, it was a lot of passing against him. But I think that Jordan Howard's going to have a good week here. And that doesn't knock me off of Tariq Cohen, though, because, I mean, he's always capable of putting up a good game if they script it for him in the game plan. And I think that sooner or later that's going to happen. And I really think he's a good player to have. It's tricky on when to roll him out because he's kind of like that, feast or famine guy. But I think that they're going to get him a lot more involved than what they did last week. So it could be really good for him. For Seattle, it looks like we can avoid the running backs if possible because Chicago is really good. Like I said, I picked them up everywhere. You're not going to run it on Khalil Mack. I mean, that dude, he might as well just like put his arms out and be the D-line, like 4 spots. He's freaking good. But let's see. So I really don't like Chris Carson or Rashad Penny this week. I do kind of like, I don't know, man. I mean, moving forward, I wouldn't mind having them. It's going to be tricky. Chris Carson with the hurdle last week, if anybody saw that was pretty freaking amazing. But I think both of them looked all right last week. Not anything that just blew my hair back, but they looked all right. Russell Wilson should be fine because you can beat Chicago in the air. That's about the only place you can beat them. But if you got Khalil Mack in your face the whole time, I don't care who you are. I mean, Russell Wilson can be as fast as he wants to be. Khalil Mack is going to be back there trying to eat his face. And, I mean, that's scary. And, so Seattle O-line is still a joke. It's just going to be an open floodgate. It could be a rough day for Russell Wilson. But without Doug Baldwin, and because you can beat him in the air, I love Tyler Lockett, though, this week. I love him. DFS, I mean, season long, I don't care. I love him. I think he's going to be great. And Will Dissly is also interesting. Since there's very scarce value at tight end, when one goes off like that, like he did last week, I think that, man, you should pay attention to him at least a little bit. So, maybe if you're searching for tight end, it's not a great matchup because Chicago can defend the tight end, but I mean, like I said, it's just scarce. Tight end is scarce, so if you need to roll somebody out, I wouldn't talk you out of Dissly. There's a lot of people that are scratching their damn heads going, well, I've got this tight end and he put up 1.6 last week. What am I going to do now? Or I had Delaney Walker, or I had Greg Olsen. Well, man, it is slim pickings on those waivers, huh? So you got to do what you got to do sometimes. All right, man, that wraps up all the games. And I'm going to wrap it up, the show, with my bold prediction of the week. My bold prediction, and I really don't even know if this is that bold, but I mentioned it earlier. Bold prediction that the LA Rams will be up so much that Sean Marion will come in at, is that his name? I think it is. The backup quarterback for LA will come in the fourth quarter, and John Kelly will come in the fourth quarter. It'll be that big of a blowout. So, and let's just say Tyler Lockett has 100 yards receiving and a TD. Let's call it 2 TDs. Man, that could be crazy. But that's my bold predictions. That's my show. I hope I didn't bore you to death. Try to keep it interesting, even though I can't poke at Nolan and tell him that he's a loser and that all his ideas are wrong, and leaving me hanging this week. I mean, come on, dude. No, I'm just kidding. We both have busy lives, so we know how it is. I know you know how it is. So hopefully we'll be able to do something every 2 weeks. I know that things come up, so maybe we'll see Nolan in week 4. So have a good night, and thanks for tuning in. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitter, fantasy_J.A.R.V.I.S, and add people to the group. Get the word out. We're going to help you all year long. We love it. So, and start 'em, sit 'em. You can hit me up tonight. Hit me up in the morning. I'll try to get to every question that I can before kickoff tomorrow. So good luck this week. Thanks, guys.